Hello the channel, welcome back everyone. I think we're on our 253rd video now. It's a bit mad. Anyways, it is the preview for the weekend. We're looking ahead to another massive weekend. There is no Celtic this weekend. Celtic play against Aberdeen in the Cup. So usually we do cover off predictions and everything for that. So we'll do something a wee bit different at the start here too. So I know I've been spending a lot of time having a bit of a rant or mentioning the sort of deficiencies or whatever in the classic side of things or issues with Super Rare. So I want to have a quick look at a wee tweet I put out, and then we'll do the preview. Then we'll do some team selections as well. Probably roughly about 20 minutes today. We'll see. I don't see me doing huge amounts of team selections just now, just because it's Wednesday. But I think we'll start doing some drafts, and then we can update them from there. Anyways, what I was referring to here was really this tweet that I'd put out, which sort of takes me back to the history of, kind of starting to put a bit of money in at the start of the season. So obviously I'd seen Pranksy and one of the French guys, Jobsant, if that's Jobsant, whatever you call him, had sort of put up some stats and everything. So kind of found that quite interesting. It was nice just to sort of look back at it and think, well, okay, how has this gone? So in August, the history to this is obviously Sorare launched the early access cards. Obviously, a more aggressive model where a lot of the cash, or most of the cash, is being paid out for in-season cards, and then there's in-season requirements, and then there was specials as well. Initially, I did take a wee bit of the hump when I was on holiday because I didn't like this thing where the first cards, the number one cards, weren't out first, and I had to set aside some budget for that. So, anyways, I chilled a bit. And then, sorry, I mentioned that there was going to be an SPFL special, so that was me dragged back in again, so picked up a good amount, and I'm glad I did. I mean, obviously, if you look at August game week 498, that was, I think, the one where we obviously picked up a lot of cash, and that was SPFL special, which Celtic had good fixtures for, and Celtic started the season with 6 clean sheets in a row in the league, which was absolutely brilliant. So £4,800 back. In all honesty, in that month, I think I pretty much returned all of the money that I'd actually put in. Zooming forward a wee bit to September, you'll see you still picked up a really good amount of cash prizes. So game week 5, obviously Sorare decided to start again. Just forget the previous 5 years. Anyways, we started back on the journey of game weeks. So 2,800 and £1,000 of card value is really good. Round about this time, because I'd done pretty well, I'd already started buying Real Madrid cards. And we'll come back to the grand total of what we won with Real Madrid at the end. That'll be an easy calculation. Zooming forward again to October, maybe slightly unfortunate. I mean, this one has been a bit more difficult. Obviously, Celtic not keeping clean sheets, Celtic playing the Champions League, but a bit of variance, bit of bad luck here and there. And even this one in the last game week, 0.2 of a point away from getting $1,000 more. But again, 1,100 terms of overall card values and £2,000 cash. So that's been quite stable. So it does, seem that it's quite in favour of in-season. What you've got to remember as well, though, is that quite a small percentage of the value of my cards are in-season cards. So, okay, I put a few £1,000 back in or whatever, but at the end of the day, most of my gallery value is in Classic. So the returns that are coming from Classic are obviously ongoing returns, but they're not as good as the in-season returns are becoming as well. In terms of what we've won with the Real Madrid cards, so I think it's about 150 quid. So if you go and look at price of Mbappe, price of Courtois, price of Bellingham, and add that all up and work out percentages, I don't want to know what the percentage is. It's been shit. Just couldn't write it. I'm very sorry to hear about all the issues in Valencia this weekend, or just now, and the game's looking like it's off this weekend as well. So that's terrible to see that, and thoughts go out to everybody involved there in the bad sort of hurricanes or bad weather and flooding and everything. That looks really terrible, but just properly indicative of what's been happening with Real Madrid. Everything that could have sort of gone wrong has went wrong. But even with that, even with re-spending that money on Real Madrid cards already in season, I've broken even, and I have actually recently taken a bit of cash out. Cash I won this week, took it out, put it in my holiday for next year, done some real life stuff, And I think that's always an important lesson to people as well. Sometimes you get so obsessed with Sorare and it's, yes, I've got this money and I've got this digital Ethereum currency or even the pounds in there, and you just think, well, I want this guy and I want that guy and everything. And then at some point you forget to say, well, I haven't really done anything with that money. All I've done is just bought more cards and they're all playing shite now, and they're all worth a tenner, and just think about it. So anyway, that's a quick overview of how we're doing. I'm really pleased with how Celtic in particular are doing this season. There are no two ways about it. And by the time you watch this video, hopefully Celtic will have bashed up Dundee and there's more cash coming. But yeah, I mean, still with so much of the season to go, I'm pretty pleased with this new format. And we'll see what happens next season. My main concern is that obviously the card resale value is not really that high as an ongoing thing. So, need to really think about whether it's best maybe just to get rid of more classic cards and buy more in-season cards. But I probably missed the boat a bit with a lot of the European stuff because people have a collection that's built and their XP and you're kind of buying in behind them, which means that if you're on a similar stack, then you can win the top places. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to actually play for. So there we go. That's an overview. Hopefully that's helpful in having people understand the in-season classic thing and the comments and everything that are made. We're not going to talk about Essence. Let's just leave that out. Anyways, I'm going to move myself back to the top of the screen and then we'll go over the preview and we'll pick some teams. Here we are, I've moved again, sponsored by the Karma Sutra. More positions than the actual Karma Sutra during the videos, just not as professionally done as other people that know how to work a computer. So anyways, the preview for the weekend, and I've just been talking about Real Madrid and Barcelona are up there. I mean, Barcelona have been sensational this season. Do I wish I bought a Barcelona stack? 100%, of course I do, but that's 2020 hindsight. I mean, Real Madrid are just like the Rangers of La Liga at the moment, really, aren't they? But I expect them to do a bit better. They've been underperforming. They always go quite far in Champions League, all that type of stuff. But anyway, back to the preview. Barcelona against Espanyol de Barcelona. So it's Barcelona derby, 3.4 XG, 47% clean sheet percentage. So I think the Real Madrid game is going to be off, mainly because the game is supposed to be in Valencia. Guess we will watch out in case there's any other postponements in Spain. And again, sorry really to hear what's going on. Thoughts with everyone. Sporting against Estrella Amadora. I do have a good few Sporting players now. I've seen that goal that Guy Ocares scored the free kick. He's just an unbelievable player. So a bit of a concern obviously with Angerim looking likely to go to Man United. You would imagine that Guy Ocares is probably going to fall into the Premier League in some fashion. Might not go to Man United, you don't know, but I think he'll go eventually. So a lot of his value is just now, but with MLS and everything finishing soon, I'll decide whether I just want to sort of cash in on that, whether I want to play Challenger. Challenger's really difficult, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it almost seems if you've not got PSV, you can't really win much at the moment, but I guess everybody's probably saying that about Celtic, and Celtic haven't won every week for me as well, so it's probably just a perception. But 3.34 XG, 64% clean sheet percentage, really good. Shanghai SIP, again, not a licensed team, but a good few licensed cards about. Should really do the business against Tianjin. Got Sporting Cristal, not really licensed. Cruz Azul, really good fixture against Santos Laguna, so not really good news if you've got a Santos Laguna goalkeeper, which I have. Inter Milan against Venezia. Inter Milan, yeah, an interesting one. They do rotate a good bit as well. They do have a good few options at full back and everything, so the other thing is they don't have in-season cards at the moment. So AC Milan don't have Inter Milan in-season. So if you want like a Sommer, you're having to buy classic cards. But 2.78 XG, 57% clean sheet percentage if anyone's playing champion. Porto against Estoril, 2.75 XG and 60% clean sheet percentage. So definitely Diogo Costa in the reckoning there. Nice to see Fabio Vieira go on, get an assist. I think he'll be a good player and challenger as well. Not quite Messi, but we'll see. Could Sporting fall off a bit if Angerim goes? That could unsettle things a bit. We'll see how it all shakes out. Salzburg against Grazer AK. Salzburg have been really poor. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's probably one of the worst Salzburg teams I've ever seen. I'm not saying they're not. There's definitely talented players in there. It's not your Haaland generation. It's not your Szoboszlai generation. It's not anywhere near those levels of teams. So, yeah, they're not reliable. And I guess that is, if you look at it in the cold light of day, that's probably helped Celtic because, Salzburg are in contender and they haven't really been performing. Plus, they do go on a winter break. So, it'll be a nice spell coming up for Celtic. Benfica against Firenze, pretty good fixture for Benfica. Firenze are usually decent, but they're right down the bottom of the league just now. I think they're about fifth bottom, so 2.71 XG, 50% clean sheet percentage, pretty interesting. Bayern München in Germany against Union Berlin, 2.68 XG, and then we've got other teams down there as well. So let's split it up. We'll have a quick look first and foremost at Premier League. So Liverpool against Brighton. And not good news from our Brighton stack playing against Liverpool. So it looks like the best fixture there, but you'll see, there's no real high clean sheet percentages here. Even Man City expected to concede against Bournemouth away. Liverpool 2.38 XG and a reasonable clean sheet percentage. I guess 40% is not bad in the English Premier League, but for a reliable clean sheet percentage, probably want above 50%. Manchester City, Tottenham against Aston Villa, real interesting game. Could go either way. Fulham are playing at home against Brentford. Chelsea, Man United, another pretty good game as well. Manchester United, obviously. No Eric Ten Hag, really poor form. Arsenal against Newcastle, pretty interesting game as well. So lots of interesting games, but nothing really standing out hugely. In terms of the champion breakdown, so we've mentioned Barcelona before. Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, Eintracht Frankfurt against Bochum. That's a pretty good fixture. Bochum really poor, missing Kevin Stodger, I think, from a creativity point of view, and just conceding loads of goals as well. Monaco against Angers. Angers pretty poor too. Monaco Champions League team, so pretty good fixture for them. You'd have thought, and it's a French specialist as well. I probably won't be getting any selections done for that, but still have enough cards. So probably just going to be leaving that at this stage unless anything jumps out at me or unless I'm close. We've got Liverpool, as mentioned, Atletico Madrid against Las Palmas, Leverkusen against Stuttgart, be a right good game, but not necessarily a great SO5 game, but you think there'll be goals, so 2.27 XG is quite high. Paris Saint-Germain against Lens, and Real Madrid looks like it's off, unfortunately. In terms of challenger, so the scores were absolutely bonkers this weekend. I think I got like 415 rare and never even came in the top 100, and that was in season as well, not just classic. So I think you just remember it was just a bonkers weekend. It was one of those, everything, all the big players all hit, and it is what it is. So Sporting good fixture, Porto good fixture, Benfica good fixture. In terms of other licensed teams standing out, I think Inter Miami obviously don't keep many clean sheets, but away against Atalanta, I think they created lots of chances at home, and they want to do the business there rather than going to the third game. I think that's how it works, best of three, as far as I'm aware. Bonkers format, there we go. We've got LA Galaxy against Colorado again, LA really hammered them the last time, but it was at home, but they still do need to get the result. If it's a draw, it goes to penalties and all that type of stuff, so it's still like a kind of one-off cup tie in a certain way. I wouldn't imagine that Colorado will win two of the next games against LA, but you never know when they're at home this time. Nothing much else really standing out there to point out. Feyenoord AZ will be a good game though. And contender probably wide open. Obviously there's no Celtic this weekend, so that's a great news for everybody who's watching this and doesn't have Celtic cards. Maybe it's Salzburg's weekend. You don't know. Dynamo Zagreb playing against Cybernik, so if anyone's got a sort of Dynamo Zagreb stat, I think stack-wise, the old managers back there was there before and probably, do a better job in terms of the previous management. Zenit are there, again, not in-season cards, but pretty strong fixture. That clean sheet percentage, 66, stands out to me. So if you've got like a Dougie Santos kicking about or whatever, that's really good. But yeah, it's a lot more open than you would think. The first current in-season licensed teams, Salzburg, have been really unreliable. Then you've got Dynamo Zagreb, so no real huge surprises there, I don't think, but a weekend where people can probably do pretty well. So let's have a look at what we've got on, and I'll move myself out. No, I'll keep myself up there, that's fine. It's quite hard to find the right position. I'm not talking about my marriage. I'm talking about the Sorare Pro. The Sorare Pro. So what have we got on this weekend? We have The French specialist is running, so I know that that's definitely on. Where's it going? Just layout changes all the time. So we've got the best of Europe, that's more for beginners. The special events just loading up at the moment. Don't know why it's not loading up, but we'll just go into the actual discover new comp. So yeah, it's definitely French specialist. There's a problem I think with the banner or something there. Maybe it's my computer. Maybe I've broken it. So it is in specialist format. You need max 2 players, same club, minimum 4 in-season cards, minimum 2 players with 45 average. So it's kind of aimed at bringing a bit of value back to, I guess, guys who, have got a wee bit of a lower sort of average or ranking. And that's definitely not loading up. We've got the beginners VIP as well, and then I'm sure we've got cap 260 this weekend as well. So yeah, we've got a really nice cap, which is interesting. Sorare maybe going a bit further as well, and actually only putting in sort of 2 entries to this as well. So again, captain score 50%. It's classic mode, anybody can enter, but your overall cap's 260. So that means that if you've got a real guy who's been injured for ages, a Neymar or whatever, and he's not playing this weekend, but somebody who's been out or somebody who's been out for a while or has a really low average, then it's a sort of beat the cap type format, which is quite interesting. Don't mind that at all. You can run a stack in it as well, which is good. Premier League, La Liga, Champion Challenger, under 23 and all that jazz. So anyways, I'm going to stick to what I know, and I'm going to start picking under 23s because this competition, I think from my own point of view, it's something I'd like to see Sorare address. I'm not saying we need a cash comp for it, but a cash comp would be great if we could get one. But even if we just, I don't know what the answer is. I just don't think that the cash is actually high enough in it, if that makes sense. I know that all those cards also have other cash comps, but if there was a cash comp version or even just a bit more money for the podiums or whatever, it'd be good. It just seems a wee bit light. So anyway, I'm now onto the spreadsheet by Sorare probabilities. Anyone who's looking for this information, this isn't sort of public information, but you can sign up, get a free trial, and all this information is specific to my own gallery. So we'll start under 23s, super rare. Joseph Barzik with quite a nice projected score for a change, so that's pretty good. See him coming on to a bit of a game actually, it's pretty reasonable selection there. Nicholas Polster, only 30% clean sheet percentage, but projected 75, so I guess it's kind of quite close in terms of clean sheet percentages. And Jonas Urbig there as well, 48, and it's 23% clean sheet percentage. He played away from home, so I guess from that perspective, got to really go for personal selection between Barzik and Polster. Polster's kept a few clean sheets, which is good. I'm going to move myself again because now I can't get into super rare because I'm in front of the bloody buttons. But not to worry, I know how to fix it now, and I'm back here. Okay, so Team C, this one's playing midweek, so I need to make sure it doesn't get relegated or whatever. I guess not really any worse than the other ones. So yeah, away from home, I think Polster's probably a shout. If you look at his form, he is actually in good form recently, so not too bad. Arms Enter at home seems pretty attractive. I mean, he's been so good. His current cards are actually mid cards rather than defender cards, so that's quite interesting. 77, that will do me. Obviously, we'll check the lineups for DMPs and everything close at the time. Don't have any real availability of Celtic cards, obviously, because they're not playing, so of course. But some really interesting ones here. Gaboho, pretty interesting. Samardzic isn't really a starter at the moment. Orkin Koksha, an interesting one because it's a bit hit or miss, but I think I'm probably going to have to use him here. I mean, he does seem to have one of the best fixtures, so Damsgaard away. I'm tempted by Damsgaard, but I'll probably go away Orkin, just given Firenze are pretty poor this season. Up front's going to be interesting. I mean, Troy Parrott's starting to fire again. Gabriel Martinelli's been really good, actually. So, and our guy could be a kind of good guy, for the caps as well, I guess. Average 47. You see project score here is much, much higher than 47. And then, is there anyone else standing out? Aravena, only a 60%. It's a shot to start. So that's interesting. One guy I'm liking a lot at the moment, Sergio Gomez. really doing pretty well. Hang on, I don't know why that skipped the fixtures date. Yeah, I mean, playing more attacking. Defender card as well is pretty interesting. Valentin Gomez doing pretty well. Looks like a estimated 6'6" for Micah Wishen. I don't know how you say his name. Is there anyone else that's sort of sticking out here? Seems to be loading something in the background too. I guess defenders are probably pretty good for AA. Valentin Gomez has been pretty good. I mean, Velez are pretty solid actually. So yeah, look at his recent scores. Sergio Gomez is playing against Sevilla, so I guess that's a kind of toughish away game as well. Probably go with Valentin Gomez. Arnzen our captain, so there we go. So one team picked for under 23s. Probably just do this and then do a cap one. I mean, obviously with no Celtic, it's a different dynamic as well, right? Because obviously usually spend a lot of time talking about Celtic and have a lot of Celtic cards. So I think we'll go for under 23 there as well. And then we'll see from there. So as you'll see, I've got a bit more choice in terms of the rare side of things. So Nicholas Polster still up there goalkeeper wise. Caprila's not really playing now. Burzik's still pretty high up there. Senny Laman's been really good recently. I think in terms of clean sheet percentages, so sort of mixing that in with clean sheet and also projected score, I think it's got to be Trubin. I mean, 50% is the highest clean sheet percentage, so definitely got to use him, I think. And probably will want to run him somewhere in Challenger as well, but that's what it is. That's fine. Just got to be mindful of that when I'm also picking the defender, because I might want Carreras in the cash comp for Challenger. So Leo Kubo's been really good recently as well. It's also a pretty interesting selection. He put in a really high score last time, lots of AA. Agarizabala, pretty good selection. Van der Vaart away at Dortmund, probably don't really fancy that too much. Trubin's quite far down here now, which is unusual, but yeah, he's not been getting a lot of AA, and then obviously when you don't get a lot of AA, the issue then is, if you don't keep a clean sheet, then you're getting a pretty poor overall score. Defender wise, pretty interesting as well. Ryan Aït-Nouri up there, I think I'll probably use him in a English Premier League one with that rating of 83, so that is pretty interesting. Formos Mendy always puts in a bit of AA. Ousmane Diamondi's an interesting one. I guess I could probably run the defensive stack in here and use Carreras in here and maybe use Diamondi in the cash comps. But yeah, if I'm going to prioritise under 23, then I think I'm going to go with Diamondi at home. Really, really strong player. Just back to fitness as well. So yeah, I don't think there'll be much messing about in the back line there. From a midfield point of view, Lee Kangin, really good this season, just not really that certain to play, to be honest. Could use Orkin Koksha in here as well. Tagsef's quite an interesting one. Things I've only got limited. No, I've got rare Tagsef. Yeah. So he's a kind of interesting one. Bogus, again, a guy who performs pretty well. Diego Gomez puts in some really nice high scores as well. Damsgaard we mentioned earlier on. So I think like missing maybe some big hitters and everything here. I'll probably just go with the Orkin Kokshu selection. Just hope that is go for that. Is it vertical stacking or something people call it, like where you've got like different options, different places, and then forward wise, it seemed a pretty easy conundrum. So I think Florian Wirtz, definitely. I mean, obviously Stuttgart are pretty good, but Leverkusen also at home. And then if I'm going to prioritise this competition as well, it's got to be Musiala. I still do have an arm Musiala, which is a really nice position to be in, where I can use him in the the Bundesliga competition as well, and then go for Musiala captain at home as well. Promise would pick something for caps as well, so we'll do that, and then that will do. As I know I haven't run through all my lineup selections, it's quite hard to do that on a Wednesday when I've recorded this, just because there's so much can change. Like for example, I know Celtic are not playing this weekend, but there's still games on during the week and everything as well, and there's injury news and everything. So let's pick a limited one, and I'll show you what we can do with the spreadsheet from that perspective as well, in terms of how you want to filter things out. So first and foremost, put it to all-star, put it to limited. What we really want to do is find somebody who's got quite a nice low cap, who will be pretty good. So project score pretty high, and you want a low cap player. So the average is 260, so 5 players, that means it's 52-ish per player. So really what we want to do is find somebody who's got a really good last 15 of under 40, and then that will give us a wee bit in the room in the cap to maybe use some guys who have like a 60 average or whatever. So we'll do a bit of filtering to that first. Now bear in mind as well, this is like my own players. I'm not running this in the whole database. So Ellery Balcom, pretty interesting. Project 51, last 15 of 35. So he's a guy who's very, very, very cheap. Joseph Burzik, actually as well, 39 and a projected 68. So I definitely think I could use Burzik in here. Defender wise, so we want some people who are like, we think are definitely going to play as well. Maybe not as much. I mean, Burzik's obviously pretty nailed. Nothing really standing out for me there. Hugo CK is injured, I think, at the moment as well. Are there any midfielders lurking in my own gallery? Michael Johnson, interesting one. Wifer, big mistake at the weekend. Nothing huge standing out. So obviously the last 15s on the right hand side and projected score is here. So but Burzik could offer a good bit of leeway. George, Big George, Elenik Henna. Maybe he'll get some game time ahead of the Champions League, so that might not be the worst shout. I mean, he's obviously on this sheet projected as a 50% chance to start, but pretty good home game. So already there you can see you've got a framework, right? So I'll give you an example. We've got a 260 cap here. So we're going to go with Burzik, and we're going to go with Big George. So again, Burzik is an in-season card. I do think the limit is only in-season card, but I'm not really too bothered about that. Don't think I'll really need it for anything. And then we've got George. So there we go. We've used up in terms of the cap 39 and 40. What that does is that leaves us with 181 left. So all of a sudden, what we can do here is we can just disregard this again and just filter it back to anybody, because you don't get many guys who are averaging more than 60, if you know what I mean. So from that perspective, you can just play about a bit with the cap. So who's jumping out here? Giacomakis jumping out 97 at home. That's pretty interesting. Midfield wise, Wiesver and Ipan's been really good. He's only on a 55 average, so fits in quite nicely. Tagzef, we mentioned earlier, although he's on the last 15 of 60, so probably not the best in terms of a cap buster. Mavropanos, don't know if he'll definitely play. Diamande, I've got him limited as well. Nemchik, pretty interesting. Again, project 74. Try to see who's really jumping out here. Probably more on the forward line side of things. I do like Sfera Naipan. I mean, I guess I could use him in under 23s, but he's a guy who puts in some AA, and Rosenborg tend to be quite strong at home, so I could put him in. We've still got 126 to use, so I really like to kind of max out the cap now, if that makes sense. Johan Visa, pretty interesting one. Saka, Lamine Yamal, I don't think I'm going to play him in the actual caps, if that makes sense, but could probably get a Cezinha in here actually. Like, it's probably not the worst idea, because I don't have really strong contender cards this weekend with no Celtic, so yeah, I mean, I definitely could use Cezinha in here. And then in terms of who we've got left, we go back to affordable. Could pick a Hugo Buena. Bueno, not Buena. Anybody else sort of standing out? Blue Stunks, injured. Alexander Baz, pretty interesting. Good attacking fullback. Fuller against Guangzhou. Jarrell Hatto, PSV. So X against PSV, so Challenger's probably worth attacking this weekend. Jan Nicholas Bestie's not always a starter. Susie's pretty good. I'm going to actually go back to the sheet again because just see who have I got with under 45. Just pick like the kind of highest projected score out of that. So Giacomakis on a 97 actually, so that's pretty interesting. Facundo Buonanotte as well, pretty interesting. He's projected as 100. But again, it's a defender I need, so that's kind of a bit irrelevant because I'm looking at midfielders. Calafiori, Thomas Nemchik. Yeah, I could go for the double up with Rosenberg as well. So Rosenberg at home, him and Naipan, definitely a good dovetail in there. And then Cezinha El Capitano. So let's see how that does in terms of the cap. A good idea as to how you can play about with the tools. I mean, I know that, for example, if you are using Sorare data, you can just run a lineup projector or whatever, and it will probably sort of pick those things for you as well. But there we go, it's been half an hour. We've done the full preview. Any comments, any questions about the weekend, if you need any recommendations or whatever, then please let me know. We had a really good week last week, winning about $1,500. So the video for that is up on the channel as well if you like watching the rewards videos, etc. And I'm going to go on that. Thanks again. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, let everybody else know that you found this amazing guy that gives good information for free on YouTube, but can't work a computer. And on that note, we'll end. Good luck and go for it.